Hey church communicators, I hope you're doing well. Thank you for joining us on YouTube or Facebook or wherever you're at. Today we're going to talk about one of the worst designs I've ever done. Now, when I say worst designs, I don't mean in the sense of it's like the most hideous thing, but it's probably one of the most poorly executed things I ever did for a whole host of reasons. So let me give you a little bit of background before I show you the design. This design was a t-shirt design that I did for our student ministry before I was on staff. I'm married to one of the student ministers, and so we had a last minute project and she said, hey, can you do this? So I said, not a problem at all, I'll do the t-shirt design. Keep in mind, I had like 2 days to do it. So I had a day to crank out the design, send it to the print company, look at the digital proof, and then have the t-shirts printed. The t-shirts at that point were going to be sent directly to camp. So I was actually physically going to see the t-shirt until I arrived at camp. Now keep in mind, I was going to arrive at camp late, so they were going to give all the t-shirts out to all the kids. So when I arrived, every kid was going to have a copy of the t-shirt. So sure, let's go ahead and let's crank it out is what I was thinking. So that's what I did. I sat down and I cranked out a design. I wanted something that was kind of hand done, and I wanted something that may be a little slightly ironic. So we're just going to call it camp shirt, if you will. So I did a simple design with my handwriting that said camp shirt, and then I hand drew our actual student ministry logo. So in my mind, I thought this is going to be really, really good. The problem was that there's a flaw in the design. So let me show you the shirt real quick. The shirt, this is it right here. That's it right there. Now, when you look at that design, you may say, Daryl, I don't see what you're talking about. The design looks fine. The problem is that the R is not nearly as pronounced as it should be. In other words, well, let me phrase it like this. When I drove onto campus and all the kids had the shirt on, I saw the shirt from about 40 to 50 feet away as each kid was walking towards me as I was driving through camp. And then I realized that the R didn't look really like an R, just kind of like this blob. So it looked like it said camp, and then it looked like the word shirt without the R. So camp, fill in the blank. So I saw hundreds and hundreds of kids pouring out of these cabins at camp with this shirt on that did not look like it said camp shirt. So obviously I was mortified. I couldn't believe we had let that through, and that design had basically like an oil spill just kind of everywhere at that point. So I had to kind of let go of that. My wife and I laughed about it. The student ministry laughed about it. We kind of joked, but it was a pretty bad design, and it really didn't do what we needed to do. So what are some of the things I learned from this embarrassing mistake of a bad design? Well, a couple of things. One, whenever you're doing design, we never want to do design by committee, which is everybody pouring in and giving their thoughts on what good design is. But we do want to get as many different takes from people that we think can add value to the design and help us understand whether or not the design is effective and what it did. And we didn't do that in this process. Since we only had 2 days, it was my wife and myself and maybe another student minister kind of looking at the design and giving it the quick thumbs up and then getting it out the door. So that was mistake number one. Mistake number two was we rushed the design. You may have heard this in your world that you work in. Can you crank something out? Can you make this look pretty for me? Anytime you hear those words, you kind of know you're headed for a disaster because you're going to do something really quick and really fast, and it may not be your best work, and you really don't have time to vet the design properly. And we didn't. And that's why we ended up with a design that looked like it said camp, fill in the blank, because we rushed it in literally about 2 days. The third thing is this, and I find this doesn't apply just to design, but it applies to copywriting, everything that's visual, is does it pass what we call the middle school boy test? And the middle school boy test is the test that you would say, would a middle school kid or boy laugh at this? And the reality of it is, this t-shirt, they would have laughed at. They would have giggled because they knew it said something else than we thought it did. Just recently, we had something at the church where we were cranking out this copy for this ad, and one of our people said, dude, that doesn't mean what you think it means, or that's going to be misconstrued. So we had to stop, rethink it, remove something, and tweak it so we could actually make it do what we needed to do. So we learned, 1, don't do design by committee, but you need input. 3, don't rush the design. And 2, don't rush the design. And 3, make sure you have what I call the middle school kid test. You have other people look at that design. Specifically in this case, students look at the design and say, yeah, that works, or dude, you're not going to want to do that, okay? Because they're going to have this, they're just going to think like a juvenile, and that's what we want them to do, and they're going to go, yeah, that's not going to come off like you think it's going to come off. So we've done those 3 things, we probably would have avoided the design. Again, I don't think the design is the worst thing in the world in terms of actual aesthetics, but it is in terms of execution and actually getting the design to do what we need to do. And to be honest with you, as a church communicator, that's where I failed. So there you go. If you've enjoyed this video, please hit that subscribe button or hit share or like on Facebook. We would greatly appreciate it. Until then, we will see you later. Bye.